Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Manojavam Marutatulya Begam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmajaha Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Welcome back to our discussion of the 5th chapter of Sundara Kanda. In this chapter, as we saw last time, Valmiki Rishi is describing the moon and how the moon is dissipating the darkness of the night time in Lanka, enabling Hanumanji to see clearly. And the moon is described in different ways. We will look at a few more verses today. I might not cover the entire chapter. Since I've sent you a copy, feel free to read and relish the very beautiful rhyming verses. And like last time we said, why would Valmiki, in the middle of such a big situation where Hanumanji has to find Sita, take the time to describe the moon? First of all, in any Mahakavya, the moon is described. Second, without the moon, romantic poetry, not just worldly, but even the poetry about the Supreme Lord and his consort is not complete. Therefore, you find even in Radha Krishna pastimes as description of the moon, moonlight, etc. And finally, from a Tattva perspective, the moon represents Guru Tattva, which is the most relevant to us, and how the Guru Tattva casts light upon this dark world, and that light is enlightenment. Therefore, we start with Om Ajnana Timira Andhasya. We are enveloped in a night, deep, dead night of ignorance. Jnana Anjana Shalakhayaha Chakshur Unmilitam Yena. So this Jnana Anjana is the illumination of knowledge. Knowledge of matter and spirit. And the idea of who I am, who the Supreme Lord is, what his energies are, and the relationships among all of these, and what material life in this material world looks like, what is matter consists of, what are the different permutations of matter, how the three modes of nature manifest different mentalities, behaviors, all of that is part of the moonshine or the Jnana Anjana, Chakshur Unmilina, opening of our eyes to reality. Because when one is sleeping, one dreams a reality that doesn't exist. So living in this material condition is living a dream. Although we all want to live the dream, not this dream. So to drive this point home, there is a beautiful verse that Krishna is speaking to Uddhava in the 11th canto. We call Krishna's conversation with Arjuna as Bhagavad Gita. But Krishna's conversation with Uddhava is called Uddhava Gita. And in Uddhava Gita section, chapter 7 of Canto 11, verse number 19, Krishna's very beautifully explaining. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prayena Manuja Loke Loka Tattva Vichakshanaha Samudharantihi Atmanam Atman Atmanaiva Ashubhashayat. I'll read the translation, we'll quickly go through some of the words. The Supreme Lord replied, generally, those human beings who can expertly analyze the actual situation of the material world are able to raise themselves beyond the inauspicious life of gross material gratification. Ashubha Ashayat Samudharanti. This Ashubha, inauspicious ashayat, is the different desires that manifest in inauspicious activities. A person is able to rise themselves above it. Some uddharanti. Uddharana means to raise. And some uddharati is completely raise oneself. But for that, one needs a certain worldview. And that's called Loka Tattva Vichakshana. In a previous presentation, to make it easy, I had called it the LTV principle, Loka Tattva Vichakshana. That is to know, here Krishna's, the translation of Krishna's words is, expertly analyze the actual situation of the material world. That is called Loka Tattva Vichakshana. Generally, we have a wrong conception of the material world, and therefore people become upset, sad, frustrated, angry, dejected, because their expectations of how the world would respond is never met, because people are ignorant of how the world operates. And so we'll come back to Sundara Kanda chapter 5, and in this chapter we are seeing Valmiki is showing us, because he is the Vyasadeva of that time, his idea is to open the eyes of all living beings to the reality of life. Hanuman, as an observer, is actually looking at every conditioned person's life and lifestyle. So the moon is described in chapter 5, verse number 5, Stitaha Kakudman iva tikshna shringaha. Mahachalah Shweta Ivocha Shringaha Hastiva Jambu Nada Baddha Shringaha Raraja Chandra Paripurna Shringaha. Shringa means horns. It also means peaks. It also means brightness. And it also means the tusks of an elephant. Here, the moon is compared to a bull with a very, very high raised hump and sharp horns. Kakudman iva tikshna shringa, sharp horns. Mahachala shweta ivocha shringa, with like a mountain, the Himalayas, with very whitish peaks, high whitish peaks. Hastiva jambu nada baddha shringa, like a tusks of an elephant that are emboldened with or gold plated. Raraj Chandra Paripurna Shringaha. Now, Chandra Shringaha. Does the moon have horns? The answer is yes. When you look at a crescent moon, the sides like that are the horns. And the moon is bright and powerful, because light is not just brightness, the intensity of it and what it does. So like a kakudman, he's white like a bull with a very heavy imposing presence. That means the moon is very close to the earth. Mahachala Shweta Ivashwa, and the moon is whitish, and that whitish moon is giving a golden light, like the tusks of an elephant that have been gold plated. I'm going to skip some verses, keep going. Then he's saying, Shilatalam Prapya Yatha Mrigendraha Maharanam prapya yatha gajendraha Rajyam samasadaya yatha narendraha Tatha prakasho viraraja chandraha. So here the moon is compared to a great lion that has vanquished some animal in battle and is now resting on the surface of a grand stone. Shilatalam prapya. And you see a lion rests in a very great, relaxing way. Maharanam prapya yatha gajendra. The excitement, the eagerness with which an elephant enters a great battle, becomes very happy, it seems. Rajyam samasadaya yatha narendra. Like a king who's now been crowned and is satisfied and looks at all his praja. Tatha prakasha viraraja chandra. The moon is like that, bright, shining, satisfied, and happy, that is casting this beautiful light over all living beings in Lanka. Then we'll go to what Hanuman is now seeing. This is verse number 9, if you're following along. Tantri svana karna sukhaha pravrittaha swapanti narya patibhir suvritaha Naktam charanchapi tatha pravrittaha vihartum adhyadbhuta raudravrittaha. Hanuman is observing. So as we are going through this, I'd like to remind all of us to see this from the context of Loka Tattva Vichakshana, the reality. So when the spiritual master or the Supreme Lord look at us, conditioned souls, they are observing our life and lifestyle. If think of it this way, if someone has binoculars, although I don't recommend voyeurism, in one sense, if you have a building across you and in each apartment there are different people doing different activities, and you as an observer see, oh, that person's cooking, this person is studying, this person is watching TV. That's exactly how Hanuman is looking at all of us. So in Lanka, Tantri Svana Karna Sukha Pravritta. Pravritta means it has begun, it is growing. Tantri Svana, the sound of stringed instruments. How is it? How does the music sound? Karna Sukha. Very pleasing to the ear. So someone is playing stringed instruments. Swapanti Naryaha Patibhi Suvritaha. Suvritaha means chaste women. Naryaha. Swapanti. They're lying down with their husbands. Swapanti Naryaha Patibhir Suvritaha. Naktam Charan Tathapi Pravrita. At the same time, in some other place, the Rakshasas are now beginning to prowl around at night time, because at night time their activities become full of life. Vihartum adhyadbhuta raudra vrittaha, making these extremely loud, cascading voices and sounds. Adbhuta raudra, full of anger and valor. So in some places they were all shouting and expressing evil and cruel activities. Matta pramatani samakulani Rathashva bhadrasana samkulani Veera shriya chapi samakulani Dadarsha dhiman sa kapikulani. Dadarsha dhiman kapi. Dhiman means full of intelligence. That dhiman is referring to Loka Tattva Vichakshana. So he's seeing as Matta Pramatani Samakulani. Pramatta, very, very high, intoxicated Samkulani, houses full of intoxicated, excited kind of people. Ratha Ashwa Bhadrasana Samkulani. Samkulani all gathered together. He saw the parking garages where there were chariots and horses and very luxurious seats in those chariots. People had Mercedes, Bentley, Lexus, whatever fancy chariots. Veera Shriya Chapi Samkulani. Some of the Veeras, very, very proud of their possessions. So they had kept their house decorated with different items that which they were proud of. Oh, I collected this one here. I gathered that painting here. I got this flower vase here. They had gathered all of them and they were very proud of their possessions, because the material world is all about aham and mama. Then parasparam cha adhikam akshipanti, bhujamscha pinan adhikam kshipanti, matta pralapam adhikam kshipanti, matta nichanyonam adhikshipanti. What beautiful poetry. So parasparam, among themselves, adhikam, a lot, akshipanti, ridiculing and joking. You know, when friends get together, they're having a couple of drinks, they're having fun, they make fun of each other. Bhujamscha pinan adhikam kshipanti. And some of them, using their arms, were throwing them, their stout, very, very strong arms, pina bhujam, adhikam kshipanti. They were throwing on each other. They were slapping each other's back and embracing each other. Matta pralapan adhikam kshipanti. And becoming so intoxicated by the alcohol, adhikam kshipanti. They were blabbering nonsense. They were just saying silly things and laughing and having fun. Mattani chanyonam adhikshipanti. And because of this intoxication, you know, when people are intoxicated, 1 minute they're all laughing and having great time, supposedly, and one thing, and they become very angry with each other and begin to quarrel with each other. These are all the intoxicated behaviors. Next, rakshamsi vakshamsi cha vikshipanti, gatrani kantasu cha vikshipanti, rupani chitrani cha vikshipanti, dridhani chapani cha vikshipanti. So the one word vikshipanti has many meanings. So vakshamsi rakshamsi cha vikshipanti. So these rakshasas, by expanding their chests, kantasu gatrani, with their limbs, were embracing the women there. Rupani chitrani cha vikshipanti. And all of them had these very beautiful forms. So this belongs to both the women and men. They were having these very pleasing forms. They were attracting each other by their countenance and their behaviors and their flirting, etc. At the same time, dridhani chapani cha vikshipanti, while they were holding their powerful bows. So what happens is, when they're holding their bows and guns, and nowadays, it seems to create a sense of eroticism among them. Then dadarsha kantashta samalabhyantya tatha parastatra punaswapantyaha surupavaktra tatha hasantya kruddha paraschapi vinishvasantya. Dadarsha, Hanuman saw, kantashta samalabhyanta. Sama alabhyanta, women were collected there, gathering of women. And tatha parastatra punaswapantya. And some of the women, they had smeared themselves with perfumes and creams, sandalwood paste, aguru paste, whatever, and they were exuding this very fragrant, extremely intoxicating and alluring fragrances that the men were becoming maddened. Some of the women were lying down with their lovers. Some of the women were laughing. Surupavaktra. Surupa Vaktraha. Rupa means beautiful. Surupa means extremely beautiful. Vaktraha, faces or countenances. Hasantyaha, they were laughing and giggling, and the men were going mad by such behavior. Kruddaha paraschapi, some of them becoming very angry. Some of the women were becoming angry at the men, and they were quarreling. So from one house, someone is embracing, and another house they're quarreling. And some of when I was growing up in my childhood, from the house across, at night time we could hear the husband and wife fighting, and you would hear vessels being thrown, falling on the floor because they were fighting. I think they were throwing things at each other. So this is what Hanuman is saying. And in some houses, buddhi pradhanan ruchirabhidanan shamsraddhananan jagata pradhanan nana vidhan ruchirabhidanan dadarshatasyam puri yatudhanan. Yatudhana are particularly raw flesh-eating rakshasas. Tasyam puri yatudhanam. He saw the area where these very ruffian rakshasas used to stay. In other quarters, buddhi pradhanan, those who are very intellectual people. Ruchira abhidhanan, those who speak very, very beautifully. Shamshraddhadanan, those who had great faith in religion. Of course, their faith was in Ravana. Jagata pradhana, they were very preeminent in the world. Some great rishis, sort of rishis who were scholars in the science of Ravana eulogy. Nana vidhan rujira vidhanan. And in different ways, there were all these great heroes of very good practices. They were skilled. Verse number 17. Tato vararaha suvishuddha bhavaha tesham striyastatra mahanubhavaha priyeshu paneshu cha sakta bhavaha dadarsha tatra iva suprabhavaha. Vararaha, vararaha, very beautiful clothing, robes, ornaments, very extremely well decorated. Suvisuddha bhava, and women whose minds were very pure, meaning chaste wives. Mahanubhava, very magnanimous as well. Priyeshu paneshu cha sakta bhavaha. Priyeshu means they were very attached to their lovers, their husbands. Paneshu, and they were also very attached to drinking liquor along with their lovers. And then Sakta Bhava, so they seemed very gentle, but they loved in frolicking and intoxicating themselves with their lovers. Tara Iva Suprabha, and each of the women were shining like stars. And so the description mostly is about women. And Hanuman is not really that interested in the men, although he's particularly observing all the women. The reason being, he's looking for Sita Devi. So one might wonder, hey, Hanumanji is brahmachari. Why is he supposed to observe such details of women? Their bodily features, the beauty of their faces, the intoxication in their eyes, the fragrance of all of their perfumes and creams and all that they had put on their bodies, the clothing that they were wearing, the kind of sensual energy they were putting out. Is that Hanuman supposed to observe all this? And the answer is Hanuman is not interested in all of this. An observer, Lokatattva Vichakshana, all the great acharyas, they know exactly what conditioned souls do, but they are not attracted by that lifestyle. So seeing clearly, here Prabhupada, in the Bhagavatam verse, we are given expertly analyzing. So that expertise is required to see the details and the various manifestations of one's conditioned lifestyle. And through all of this, Hanuman is searching for Sita Devi. Then is verse after verse of such glorification. And finally, in verse 23, Natveva Sitam Paramabhijatan. Natva eva Sita para. He is not able to find Sita. Patistite Rajukule Prajatam. Latam Prapullam eva Sadhu Jatam. Dadarsha Tadvim Manasabhijatam. So his meditation is on Sita Devi. And this is the beauty of Sita's character. So he says, Natu evam Sitam Paramabhijata. Paramabhijata, one who's born in a very noble family. Param Abhijata. Patistite Rajakule Prajatam. Patistite, who's very fixed on the path. Patino, Pathi, path of one who abides by dharma, Rajakule, her father Janaka. In such a family of great Janakas, not one Janaka, every king is called Janaka. They're so great. Prajatam, she was born in such a great family. Latam Prapullam Iva Sadhu Jatam. Latam, like a very, like a blossoming creeper. Very, very delicate that she is. Dadarsha Tanvim Manasa Abhijatam. She is such a delicate lady. Manasa Abhijatam. Although she is born in a wonderful family, through his mind, he was seeing Sita. That means he has Sita Devi, an idea of who Sita will be, and he is comparing all the women by that. So beauty is not just physical beauty. Beauty is in character. And Hanuman has that frame by which he's comparing all the women there, and none of them match in his mind what Sita will look like. These are verses of glorification of Sita. I don't like to skip, but I don't think we have time today. Then finally, at the end of the chapter, Sitam apashyam manujeshwarasya. Ramasya patnim vadatam varasya. Babhuva dukkha vitarascharasya. Plavangamo manda ivachirasya. So for a moment, Hanuman became dull and morose. Mandaha. Iva achirasya. Achirasya, for a short while. Chira means long, achira, short while. So for a achira, mandaha. That Plavangamo, this Hanumanji, could not find Sita. Sitam apashyam. Manujeshwarasya, this daughter of Janaka, one of the best kings, Janaka, Sitam, or you can think of Manujeshwarasya, means one who's born in the line of Manu, Lord Ramachandra. Actually, this refers to Rama. Ramasya Manujeshwarasya Sitam apashyam. He could not find the wife, Sita Devi, of this great Sri Ramachandra. Patnim Vadatam Varasya. The best of speakers. Dukkha Abhitascharasya. And so he became hit by grief. And because he became grief-stricken, he could not find Sita Devi. He felt he was unsuccessful. And therefore got dejected that will I ever find Sita? And that ends chapter 5. Let's see if there are any questions or comments. I want to keep it short today because I have back-to-back things. I tried my best to keep it to 15 minutes. Even I couldn't do that. So it's hard. So let's see if there are any burning questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, here you have described how Hanumanji has an idea of what Mother Sita is, and he's trying to see in the damsels and ladies of Lanka whether he's able to find somebody who fits into that portrait that he has of Mother Sita. In the life of a practicing devotee, we first get in touch with devotees. We understand something about scriptures, and we understand from that what are the characteristics of Guru, and we also understand something about Krishna. And we are always trying to compare, is this the right spiritual master for me, especially in the beginning of our life? Is he the person whom I should have further relationship with? And is this particular like this aspect of the deity, is this what I like, or is this aspect of service is what I like? We try to do it based on our own biases, based on our own understanding of scripture. So one way to do it is, of course, to discuss with others, with other elderly devotees on how to progress further, like how to make the right choices here. But unlike Hanumanji, we are not those perfect gurus knowing everything perfectly well. Hanuman still had not seen Sita as yet, but he had a clear vision from his understanding of Janakatmaja, how a Janakatmaja would be, his understanding of Lord Ramachandra. That understanding was clear. We are not. We come with our biases. What to do in such circumstances?
You wait for the couple of chapters and you'll find Hanuman, very interesting verse by Valmiki. I don't want to give it up, but lose it as a cliffhanger when he sees Mandodari. But that's different. Here, the question you're asking is what to do as a sadhaka. I think it's most important before jumping into thinking about spiritual master and initiation and those kinds of topics. It's important to get the basic or foundational Sambandha Gyan clear. The basic foundational is right there in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, for example. The entire section where Krishna is describing the soul. First, he gives the description of the soul in relevance or in reference to the body. Dehinosmin yatha dehe. He doesn't even refer to it as soul. He just says dehe, asmin dehe yata dehinam. The word is used as dehinam, the one that is embodied. So first he starts with the body, and then he moves it out to a conversation purely about the soul. Jayate, mriyate va kadachin, etc., etc. This basic or foundational knowledge should be at least to some degree, even theoretically, clear. But realization is a whole different thing. This entire search of Hanuman is the search for the soul, pure soul. And in one sense, this looking to other women and comparing is a analytical process, which sometimes we refer to as neti, na iti, not this. So he has an idea of Sita. He looks at this woman and says, neti, not this. Another neti, not this, neti. However, neti process, if you see carefully in this set of verses, only neti brings a person to the point of dejection and moroseness, because there is no positive experience of Sita Devi or the soul just yet. Neti has some place, there is some analytical strength required, but the basic foundational knowledge, if it's not there, then the person will constantly be shopping, not this, not this, not this, because they don't have a clear idea of what they're looking for. Most people hope, I know it's not this, but what it should be, I'll find out later. And so people traverse through finding a spiritual master or a community or a set of people with only the idea of not this, without what they actually are looking for. And so the foundational Bhagavad Gita about the soul needs to be very, very clear. Then the qualities of Guru need to be very clear. The qualities of Krishna, otherwise the expectations of what Krishna is supposed to do for me. Most people feel the presence of Krishna or the Supreme Lord whichever form they're attracted to, only when he helps them in certain places. Oh, he helped me, therefore he's real. The service attitude hasn't awakened yet, that I'm supposed to serve him is mostly what he can do for me. So with that, the search is not full of joy just yet. So people should take the time to understand Guru Tattva, what the features of a spiritual master are, all of that before then taking that template to find one's Guru. Did I answer your question, Shamakun?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward for the next pastime with Mandodari.
Yes. All right, final question. Anything? Okay, so homework. I will be traveling next week. I'm actually conducting a wedding, so we won't be able to do Ramayana class. So homework is take the chapter 27, some of the verses that I did not go through. Look at the verses, look at the meanings, enjoy the poetry, look at the rhyming, and go through what all Hanuman saw. There's a whole description of Valmiki giving, Dadarsha Dhiman, Dadarsha. So what did he see? Make a little, I guess, running list, if you like, a mental or actual list of all the activities that these persons are doing. And we'll find that they are very reflective of or representative of the activities of a conditioned soul in different ways. And then there are, from verse 23 onwards, are the beauty and the description of Sita Devi. Wonderful verses. I'm unhappy that we couldn't describe Sita Devi's characteristics. That's my loss. But go through it, and I'm sure each one of us will be joyful to just get a sense of who Sita Devi is. She is the one about the whole Ramayana is written for. Sitayam Charitam Mahat Kritsam iti Ramayanam. And so our approach to the Lord Sri Ramachandra is through Sita Devi. Without her grace, as sometimes I like to say, without her grace, I'm only a disgrace. So thank you very much. Until we meet again, let the search of Hanumanji inspire us to search our own Lanka, and through the mind Ravana, and find how we can put ourselves better on the track of finding the actual soul within us, because we have to come to see the soul face to face, if you will. I'm using the language seeing the soul. It doesn't mean we are separate from the soul. Drusha evatmanishware, Drusha eva atmani, as the Bhagavatam says. Thank you very much. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.